Uber rides have gotten a lot more expensive over the past few years, more than the rate of inflation.
Our drivers need to make a living, and so really the demand for drivers and pay has gone up, and that translates into the ultimate price of the Uber ride.
Wow, that's shocking, but not surprising that a CEO would say something like that. Let's restate what we just heard. The CEO of Uber is saying that you, the passenger, is paying more for an Uber because the drivers, me, were making more money. And I'm going to definitively prove to you in a lot of different ways that is just not the case. So, and then at the end of the video, I'm going to address the real moral of this issue here. But first, let's talk about pay. It just so happens that I have a kind of a little bit of a story here. My very first Uber ride was in February of 2020. I remember it clearly too. I picked up these 3 college students. They were at the Asian market here in Syracuse, New York, and I took them back to the Syracuse University campus. It was about 7 minutes, 2.5 miles. I made a big mess of it, but they still tipped me. It was really fine. And I made $3.65 or 66 cents on the fare. But that's not really what I made. I made a tip, but that's not it. I made $1 tip. I actually made $3.56. That's what I earned. However, there's a minimum fare of $3.66. So that took my fare that I earned from $3.65 or 56 cents up 10 cents more to the minimum. So basically Uber has to pay me, no matter how short the trip might be. It could be 1 second for 100 feet. I still make $3.66. But you can see they're using a rate card. They're saying we're going to pay you X dollar amount per mile per minute. This is how much you're going to make. And that's a really critical thing. And the passenger paid a little over $8 for that trip in 2020, February of 2020. Fast forward to today. Now, just last week, I did another minimum fare trip. So I'm going to compare minimum fare to minimum fare. So it's equal to equal. I did another 7-minute trip, 2.5 miles, give or take. The passenger paid a little over $11 for it. I made $4.32. The minimum fare went up from $3.66 to $4.32. But I don't know what I get paid per mile per minute because Uber doesn't show that anymore. Back in 2022, 2023, give or take somewhere around there, they switched to this thing called upfront pricing for drivers. Basically, now we get to see the price of how much we're going to get paid. And we've got about 7 seconds to decide if it's a good or a bad trip. But we no longer get paid based upon a rate card, a dollar amount per minute or per mile or anything like that. It's basically just an algorithm saying, here's what this fare is going to pay you. It's a fixed price. So let me give you a summary of what I took this data, these 2 trips, and I put it into Google Gemini. And this is the summary that it spit out to me. It says the passenger price went up 35%, but the inflation rate was only 24% during that time period. Okay, so the passenger price went up more, increased more than that. Now you go to the driver fare, I made 18% more. Again, the price of the Uber went up 35%. I only made 18% more and inflation was 24%. So my base fare is not keeping up with inflation, but you as the passenger are paying more than inflation. Okay, now you can't base an entire company or industry off of 2 rides, off of 1 driver. I mean, I've done 13,000 rides just alone. There's millions of rides every single day. But that's not how I know I'm getting paid less. Let me give you some more data points to know that I'm actually getting paid less. The first thing is I track all of my data. Previous life, I was an accountant and economist. So really quickly, in 2020, I was making about $17 an hour after expenses. Then it went up to 21, then 22, then $28 in 2023, then down to $25 an hour after expenses. Okay, so I'm actually making less money after expenses. And just last week, after expenses, I made $20 $2.45 per hour after expenses. So I'm literally making $8 less an hour than I made in 2023. And the reason why I'm making less per hour is a couple of things. Number one is that Uber is not paying drivers bonuses anymore. Uber uses bonus and promotions and stuff like that to get more drivers out into the streets. And I understand that. Those bonuses all went away. So now we're making less money. On top of that, because there's more drivers, which means there's less rides for me to get. There's less opportunities for me. So I'm getting less rides, I'm getting less promotions, I'm making less than inflation on the fare. So I'm making less money. So I went from $28 an hour as high after expenses in 2023 down to now $20 an hour after expenses. I'm having to drive later at night, earlier in the morning, drive farther away from my house to make a living. It's hard. And that's what makes it so insulting when a guy like Dara says, I am the reason why you're paying more for the ride, when that's just clearly not the case. It's not just me that says this. Lynn Sherman, a professor at Columbia University, economist, did an amazing analysis last week. Again, I'm going to link to it in the video, where he dove through all of the reasons why Uber is now a profitable company. You see, Uber wasn't profitable. And then about 3-4 years ago, 2-3 years ago, whatever, when they did this upfront pricing, it shifted. It became a profitable company. That profit is coming again, not from, again, providing a better service, but from manipulating pricing for you and me. In fact, here's the summary from Lynn's article. And again, you should read it all. But he goes, Uber's improved economics have predominantly been driven by pivotal launch of upfront pricing, the largest known implementation of price discrimination on both sides of its marketplace. I messed that up a little bit. But basically, Uber's making money by a pricing mechanism. It has nothing to do with providing a better service. And you and I both know this, right? Try calling Uber's customer service and see what happens, right? Or what's the quality of the cars like? Are Uber drivers' cars better or worse than they were? Probably worse. And the reason why is it costs us more money to drive them, or we're making less money. So Uber is making money on those margins. And then at the end of that video, they start talking about autonomous cars and what's going to be happening there with autonomous cars. So my career field is going away. My profession is going away. But none of this is the biggest part of that video. In my opinion, the biggest part of that video is when Dara starts talking about his wage. Let's take a look at it here.
You're compensated about $40 million a year. What should people make of that?
I think that, we as a society, I think as a country, clearly we've done unbelievably well economically. But I do think that the inequality that you see as it relates to the top end compensation, like someone who's lucky enough like me, and the middle class, et cetera, that is too big a chasm, in my opinion.
Too big of a gap.
Yeah, I do think it's too big of a gap. Now,
I feel that Dara feels guilty for making that money. I completely celebrate him making $40 million. That doesn't bother me one bit, because he's leading a major corporation, and he's made it profitable. That's a good thing. He should make money. I have no problem with the amount of money he's making. And we could talk about taxes and, well, whatever. I don't really care about that. I'm just thinking about, good for him. He's made that money. But you can tell he's hedging everything. And I think the reason why is that he knows in his heart of hearts that he's making that money, not only his wage, but the profitability for the shareholders, for guys like Jason Calacanis, who are always bragging about being an original investor. Great. You're all making your money off of who? The backs of Uber drivers, who are making less money today than we made before. You're paying people less in inflationary times so you could profit. you got to feel a little sick. You got to know you can't take that kind of money knowing that there are people out there working, struggling to make ends meet, and you're making your money. It's one thing to make money not off the backs of that. It's another thing though to rip off passengers and drivers and make money on margins like that, as if it's a gambling app, a betting app, not a transportation app. That has to hit the soul. And man, I tell you, it takes away from the story, because Dara's story should be celebrated. It should be. It's the American dream. Again, coming from those challenges, maybe he grew up in a life of wealth. I don't know, but still, nonetheless, to come to America, make it and make it big. Kudos. I love that story. And then, but it just is all tainted because me and my personal experience, and you as the passenger, if you're still watching the video at this point, you and the passenger, you know what I'm talking about. You're having to use Uber for whatever reason because America's transportation system, the buses don't work that great, and you're having to use Uber, and the Uber cars are less quality. The drivers, you've seen it. A lot of drivers are immigrants now. It's a challenge. Do you know how many drivers sleep in their cars? It's super common. Their cars they're also their homes. Or maybe they're traveling miles and miles away from home and they work for 40 some odd hours and they can't make it back to their house, so they're just sleeping in their cars. That's a real thing. And a guy like Dara's he's got to struggle to sleep at night knowing that. And then the audacity to say, my wage is the reason why you as the passenger are paying more. That's ballsy. And Lynn Sherman's data and my one driver experience can prove it. And I bet you every single Uber driver that watches this video can back it up time and time again. There's no way some drivers going around today going, man, 2025 is the best year ever as an Uber driver. There are solutions to pay drivers a fair way. It doesn't have to go through government. Uber just has to be honest as a company. I think Uber has to have clear transparency. Give drivers the tools. If you gave a driver like me the tools, I could provide a better service, make more money, and your passengers would be more happy. But Uber's playing a game. And I think they're going to pay. I'll leave the video with this. I think Uber knows, I think Lyft knows, they're just an app. And they're going to go out of business. I think they're going to go out of business because they're not actually operating vehicles like Waymo, Zoox, Robotaxi. Those are the companies, the hardware companies, the companies that are physically building vehicles that with actual real drivers or not drivers or whatever. They're the ones that are going to survive because soon AI agents are going to see through this manipulative pricing. I'll end the video with this one thought. People ask me, why do I do it? Why do I Uber drive? Especially if I'm making less than I made before. There's a couple of reasons why, but the main reason why is the stories. It's the stories. It's the connecting with humans. I just don't think we have that many places anymore in our society where humans can connect like this. It's a special thing when somebody gets in your vehicle, whether they put their headphones on and just ride in peace and quiet, or they want to talk about their day or whatever it might be. I like that moment. I like being in my city. I like driving around and meeting people, seeing what's going on. I see news events before they get shown on the news, whatever it might be. I like that. I like it. Yeah, there's some flexibility and freedom where there was. Now I'm, having to do 60, 70 hours a week just to make ends meet. But overall, I like that. And it could be so great. Uber could be so amazing. It really could be. I don't hate Uber. I don't hate Dara. I like my job. I just think it should be, the story should be set. The record should be stated clearly. Drivers are not the reason why you're paying more for an Uber. Hey, my name is Levi Spires. I'm an Uber driver. I drive in Syracuse, Binghamton, Ithaca, New York. I've been doing it for about 5 years, well over 13,000 trips. I created this channel to connect with drivers, but more and more, I feel like I'm connecting with passengers. And it's not just about Uber rides and the Uber experience, but the experience where humans connect. This fourth space is what I call it, where your home is space number 1, your work is space number 2, your friend group is space number 3, but there's this fourth space where humans are connecting, and it's getting fleeting because we're digitally connecting online, where humans can be not face to face, because I'm facing this way and so is my passenger, but we're in close proximity and we're on a journey together. Sometimes it's a 5-minute trip across Syracuse. Sometimes it's a 1.5-hour long drive, getting to the airport early in the morning, whatever it may be. And I think that matters. I love the connection with humans, hearing their stories. That's why I do it. To my fellow drivers for 2025, I want you to drive your way. I want you to be happy, safe, and healthy. Make as much money as you possibly can, but drive your way in 2025. And I want you to know, drivers, that I am cheering for you. Be well, be safe. Bye.